heartening to actually see a very good turnout at this press conference. Now, as you know, there has been a media blackout in the mainstream press with regards to this case. So whichever mainstream media representatives that are here, we really hope to have your cooperation and your sense of urgency in actually ensuring that there's some degree of reporting in the mainstream media, because there is only so much that can be kept away. As you know, the online media has helped to highlight the developments of the case, and also the international press have started to take notice. And you will also know that once the case convenes with witnesses being called, there is very little that can be done to hide it. So we actually urge for your cooperation to ensure that the mainstream media actually provides space to report on something as important as this. This is a very, very important, very critical case at this juncture, where we're actually obtaining information on one of the highest corruption cases and one of the largest corruption scandals in our country. We will hand you the press statement in a moment, and we have named the press statement the Great Malaysian Robbery. Now, this is the Great Malaysian Robbery because it's one of the largest discoveries of how our public funds, our public taxpayers' money have been used indiscriminately and unscrupulously by those in power to enrich themselves and their families and their cronies at our expense, at the expense of our poor medical health care, at the expense of our poor education system, at the expense of Malaysians, and also at the expense of French people's taxpayers' money. We're looking at this case in a very special way because it has jurisdiction which crosses borders. And we understand that from your media point of view, you are actually very curious to discover how the jurisdiction in France and the long arm of the law in France could actually reach Malaysia. 13 hours away by flight, 5,000 kilometers away by distance, and how the long arm of the law can actually reach Malaysia. So Fadia has actually helped outline the powers of the judge. Now, in our minds, we know that there are limitations, but we also know that we can take this case to levels which have never been imagined before, unprecedented levels. And I'd like to share with you today two very important findings that we discovered when we had access to the investigation papers. As you know, it's really quite unfortunate that we're not able to display and give you copies of the investigation papers. These investigation papers are coming from the Public Prosecutor's Office. The papers are consolidation of research, of interviews, and of investigations by the Public Prosecutor's Office over 2 years. And we have had 153 investigation papers made available to us when we were in Paris. And that was really quite mind-boggling and a lot to do, because we had to actually listen to the interpreter and take notes, because we ourselves do not have the right to bring the documents outside the territories of France. But nonetheless, with the help of the interpreter and with the help of the lawyers very much, we have gathered so much findings and discoveries which we will be very, very keen to share with you as media practitioners and media partners, to help highlight the extent of the corruption scandal that we're talking about. Now, I'd like to share with you just two out of the 153, so that you will be coming to us for more of the information in the coming weeks. Now, the first document, which is something that Suaram as the plaintiff is able to quote to you, is numbered document 87. This document basically highlights the mechanics of Perimekar, the company that was the recipient of the 114.9 million euro of commissions and kickbacks, of which there have been more questions than answers as to where that money has actually gone to, into whose pockets, and for what purpose. Now, document 87 actually outlines the fact that there was a fax that was obtained by the Public Prosecutor's Office on the 28th of May, 2010, and it was written in English, this one, and it was sent by the Malaysian representative of Thales Asia International. His name is Mr. Francois Dupont. Now don't worry, you will get the press statement later. I just want you to listen to me, okay? So, and the fax was titled Malaysia/Submarine Project. Now the interesting thing about document 87 is that it outlined various correspondences between Perimekar, between Thales International Asia, between DCNS, and between the Malaysian government. Now, we were really shocked when we found one of the documents that actually suggested and that had the name of Datuk Sri Najib Razak. You all know who he is? Our Prime Minister, at that time the Defense Minister, had written or had placed a condition in writing in France that DCN, the shipbuilding company that was going to sell the submarines to the Malaysian government, would need to pay a maximum sum of USD $1 billion to Perimekar for their stay in France. Now I'll just repeat that, not because it sounds nice, but because it's what should be the highlight and focus of your report, that Datuk Sri Najib Razak had placed a condition to DCNS that it offers a maximum sum of USD $1 billion for Perimekar's stay in France. And the note indicated that with that condition, a meeting with Datuk Sri Najib would convene on the 14th of July 2001. Now, as you know, the sale of the submarines were completed in 2002. So these were part of the negotiations because the establishment of Perimekar was very much a request and a push by the Malaysian government to ensure that Malaysian companies were also beneficiaries of the procurement process. And it was not just French politicians and French companies that would benefit. Now, one other thing that amazed us as we looked at the document was the slew of companies that were formed. We're not just talking about Perimekar. And if you read Malaysia Kini on Saturday or Sunday last week, you discovered there was another company called Terasasi in Hong Kong, which was also identified as a recipient of some of the illegal commissions and kickbacks. So with Perimekar and Terasasi, there are a few hundred other companies that were formed to siphon off money as a result of this procurement process. So it was a very, very lucrative investment and procurement for both the Malaysian government and the French government. Okay, that's the first document. The second document, which we have actually seen the invoices, is that the prosecutor's office, as you know, they had raided the DCNS office in Paris and managed to secure many important documents as a result of that. Now, the prosecutor's office, upon instruction, had received an envelope dated 22nd August 2001. The envelope contained a subfolder entitled C4. Now this is not the C4 that killed Al-Tantuya. It just so happened that the project name was also named C4. Another subfolder entitled Invoices, a stack of PDF files, and a USB thumb drive. Now in there was the revelation of the existence of an invoice that was faxed by Terasasi Sendirian Berhad, company number 524814-P on the 19th of September 2004 to the CEO of Thales International Asia. Now the invoice stated an amount of Euro 359,450.00, or roughly about 360,000 euro, for the purpose of success fees. Now what is that? We heard of coordination fees, we heard of so many different fees. Now we have been introduced to the word success fees, to be paid to the Alliance Bank Malaysia Berhad in section 16 of Petaling Jaya. The bank account is provided here in the statement for you to replicate. And there was a note in handwriting, a handwritten note that said, in English translation, Razak requests if that SF, if that support fund, can be taken into account urgently. The support fee will be followed with a report. Now, the public prosecutor continued in his investigation paper to say that it appears that Thales International Asia could not ignore that the sum paid to Terasasi Sendirian Berhad ultimately benefited Mr. Najib Razak, the Minister of Defense, and or his consultant Abdul Razak Baginda. Now the ongoing investigations is to determine which Razak this is. Now you know that both men share a similar name. Razak is the last name for Najib Razak, and Razak Baginda, Razak is the first name for Razak Baginda. So the public prosecutors have been really plowing through the documents and the information they have to see who actually benefited from the Euro 360,000, which amounts to more than 1.2 million ringgit that the handwritten note requested for an urgent entry to the bank account of this person. And this money is unaccounted for. As far as Malaysian Parliament is concerned, as far as the MACC is concerned, you will find that the document 87, which put the condition of 1 million ringgit for Perimekar stay in France, and for the personal money of 360,000 euro into the bank account of Razak, is not something which has been answered in Parliament. These are new commissions, new findings that we have discovered, over and above the 114.9 million euro in which formed the basis of Suaram's complaint. For those of you following the case, you will be able to see that these are revelations of new commissions, and how the name of our Prime Minister is so directly involved, which has greatly shocked us, which has greatly shocked Suaram, and will be so for the Malaysian people, that our money has been misused to such great extent. So it has become apparent, really, that this has constituted one of the greatest robberies over the people of Malaysia and France. It's no longer just the 114.9 million euros in commissions to Perimekar. Rather, it has magnified into a web of lies involving a slew of companies formed to complicate the concealment of this blatant robbery. There are more and more retro commissions that have surfaced. And to our shock, we also found out that Lembaga Tabung Haji, for example, have been dragged into this procurement process to look at potential investments with the French government. And the pensions fund, which is the Lembaga Tabung Angkatan Tentera, the pensions fund for the military, has also been brought in to this process. So one really wonders, what is a pilgrimage fund doing in a procurement or in an arms and weapons procurement process? And what is Lembaga Tabung Angkatan Tentera actually doing in this? The Lembaga Tabung Angkatan Tentera is supposed to look at pilgrimage funds, pension funds for military servicemen. So as a result of all this, why is Suaram sticking its neck out and telling you all this important information? Because there are no answers here. In our land, there are more questions and more questions. And what we have revealed to you is going to realize in even more questions. There are no answers so far. So we demand, one, that the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission immediately open an investigation in the light of these new revelations by the French public prosecutors. We also urge, once again and over again, as we have said this before, for the full cooperation of the Malaysian government. Now, we have no other intention apart to bring the truth to light and apart to bring the truth to justice and to surface for all Malaysians to know, for us to have access to what actually really transpired in the procurement process. So we urge for the full cooperation of the Defence Minister. In the past, in 2002, that was Najib, the current Defence Minister, Zahid Hamidi, who also makes up the witness list, to fully help us participate in the inquiry, to help us in actually cooperating in ensuring that the inquiry in France will be able to shed some light to the truth that needs to be told. And finally, for the Defence Ministry to come clean and list out in Parliament or even before that all companies that are involved in this procurement process and who were the beneficiaries of the kickbacks and commissions. Because what we're trying to tell you today is that it is no longer just Perimekar and it's no longer just Terasasi that are involved, but there are a whole range of companies that were formed to actually gain some sweetness as a result of the procurement process. So I'll end here because I'm sure there are lots of questions. We can now distribute the press statement. We'll give you a bit of time to read it, and I'd like to wish you happy World Press Freedom Day. I see many of you wearing yellow bands. Your job's a very dangerous one, as we had seen in the birthday rally. There were so many direct attacks on journalists which are absolutely unacceptable in a functioning democracy. And so I wish you the best and to take up this challenge to actually report what is contained in this press statement, to report fairly and freely. Thank you.